Hi, friends, and a very pleasant good day. It's another edition of 15241 Today Talk. Subtitle, Jim and Lanny on stage on the Upper St. Clair High School stage. By the way, these shows, we want to thank Glenn Ward, our director, and also our coordinating producer, Linda Dudzinski. On the show today, two gentlemen who have devoted their lives to making Upper St. Clair safe. The Upper St. Clair Chief of Police, John Wharton, and the Chief of Security at Upper St. Clair High School, Sean Bryson. Thanks to both of you for joining us. Jim, why don't you start us off?
Well, I asked you two guys to wear your uniforms, so I also wore mine. And first of all, I hope you guys, to the audience that's watching this, these guys both are Upper St. Clair graduates, residents, and former players that went through the football program here at the high school. And so first of all, we might as well get this out of the way. I'm very proud of these two. I'm proud of a lot of my players, but I feel a lot safer now living here in Upper St. Clair that the chief and the security head of the school district are my guys. So thank you for coming today, and congratulations to both of you. You know, you both are rather new on the job. And John, let's start with you. Police work. When did you know you wanted to do police work?
Probably in high school. In high school, I had talked to Bob Muller, who was my counselor, and he set up a meeting with Sergeant Bob Williams from the police department, and he came in and talked to me, and then I started my route down the road for all the training and everything, education that goes with that.
That's interesting because I knew in high school what I wanted to do too. A lot of people aren't of that makeup. So, now I told you I'm going to ask questions because I sometimes forget who played what year. What year did you play your last year, and what year did you graduate?
The last season I played was '87, graduated in '88.
Yeah, those were some pretty good teams.
The two teams after I graduated were really good.
Well, everybody has to have a foundation.
Sure.
So
I played on those teams.
I haven't asked you a question yet.
Sorry to interrupt.
These guys forget, too. All right, what year did you graduate?
1991, and last season was 1990.
So you were on the '88. You were a sophomore in '88.
Yep.
When we won the first WPIL, which means you were on the state championship in '89.
That's correct. Really a highlight of my life. It was one of them. You know, it was those memories are still, fresh in my mind of the team, of you,
Wow.
and of everybody, of the town, and how people like Ron Cortez and Jerry Bertiotti kind of ushered a little change, and Phil Dunn and Doug Whaley took the torch, and it was great.
Sean, when did you, John mentioned that you knew in high school he wanted to be work in law enforcement. How about you?
You know, I always struggled with it a little bit, and I'll explain why. I thought I should do something different. So my dad was a police officer here, and my dad's dad was a police officer. My dad's brother was a police officer. So I was wondering, hey, I should probably break out of the mold a little bit. I always toyed with it, but it really didn't hit me. It hit me a little later at college at Pitt, where I'm like, you know what, I want to go with my heart, not my head, and get into law enforcement.
Am I correct that your dad died at a relatively young age?
Yeah, so he died at 38. I was 13. I had two younger brothers, and it was tough. But they attributed it to Vietnam, an Agent Orange potentially related issue with his heart, and so he was obviously a strong influence of my life, and I wanted to know I debated of, again, always kind of doing something different, but I decided to come back around and really embrace law enforcement, and I love it to this day.
What were there things that you remembered from your dad's career as a police officer that are part of your fabric, part of who you are as a police officer?
Oh yeah. Back then, I remember coming to the high school, going to the police station, going to the football games, and what I remember most is treating people with respect, but have a pulse, be accessible, be friendly, be a problem solver, and I remember just I really kind of grew up at the Upper St. Clair Police Department. I remember we moved from South Park Township, probably I was 5 years old. We moved in 1976, and my dad, during his evening shift for lunch, would bring a bag of hamburgers from the Pancake House on Route 19, Jerry Bertiotti Senior's restaurant, and I would ride my big wheel in the back of the police station, and my mom and I would meet there, and it was just the beginnings of that. The park as we know it now, at the municipal park, and so I rode my big wheel in that back lot in 1976, and so there's a lot of things I remember, and that police department has been great to me, and I made lifelong friends, and one of them is this gentleman right here.
Chief, what is it that makes Upper St. Clair such a fabulous community?
I think it's how the community sticks together. I think it's the opportunities that are afforded all the residents, from the students to the retired community. There's just a lot here that the township works very hard in providing opportunities for the citizens that live here. I think that's what makes it very special.
Sean, what is it about Upper St. Clair?
It really, it's that strong community identity, and I echo many of the things Chief Wharton said, but it's just something that it's this bond. It's that holds us together. And I moved away. I worked for the Arlington County Police Department in Virginia for 20 years, and in the DC capital area. And you always remember, and you could always tell when you were about to meet someone from Upper St. Clair. I said, "Are you from Upper St. Clair?" Yeah, I am too, and I have countless stories like that and it's like you never left, even when you're in another state. And I've had instances like that at hotels and different things that you say, hey, I graduated there, and I played for Coach, and it's all you need. The introduction's already done.
Why did you? Was it tough making the decision to leave Virginia to come back home?
It was. We had a great thing going. I have a daughter who's in second grade at Eisenhower, and I still had some goals to accomplish there. Do you ever leave the football field totally satisfied? And I don't think you ever do. There's always some play you could have done better, and some other goal you wanted. And we thought about it hard, and the defining factor was this. And we had a great thing in Arlington, and great schools, great atmosphere. It's not here, and that's not a cut on Arlington, and it's not a false plug for Upper St. Clair Township. It's just the quality of life is, I believe, almost unbeatable.
Chief, is there something about law enforcement and you doing your job as the chief of police that you didn't realize when you were in high school, or even when you were in college, that you just didn't realize there was something about this particular profession?
Absolutely, and not just in Upper St. Clair. Of course, with the limelight of what you see on TV and the movies of what law enforcement is and police work, it's not. It's a lot of countless hours of just making sure that you're, patrolling and looking for things out of place, and things that aren't documented, things that you don't have the action, you don't have other things going on that you would see necessarily in the limelight. A lot of it is paperwork and What was really intriguing was, especially in Upper St. Clair now, focused on our community, is the public relations, the importance of being there for the residents, not necessarily taking police action in all cases, but providing support for the community. That's the one thing I personally learned, that it was a big switch from coming out of the academy and thinking all these things of what you're taught, and then you're realizing that it's not that. And it didn't surprise me, because I obviously growing up here, but per se is law enforcement related. That was eye-opening, was that it was a lot more public relations, and I preach that now to the officers in the department from the chief standpoint, that we are number one public relations. We are public support and safety, security before anything else.
Sean, what did you learn about your position that that maybe surprised you or was different than you anticipated?
There were several things, but one of the things that stands out the most is the amount of extracurricular activities and the busyness of the school district here. These buildings are busy, and we at times, and I worked in the schools in Arlington for some years as well, you think of the school day as some version of 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And school day now for many educators, many coaches, many students, it could be 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And to support that role and to support the students and the administrators and the residents in that fashion, it's a lot. I mean, the school day has it seemed to double since 1991.
Jim, you touched on this earlier, but expound on this. Here you are sitting with two of your former players that have reached points in their lives that are very important to this community.
Well, I think it's great that they have such pride and they enjoy being here in Upper St. Clair, and they have such positive things to say. I'd be curious to know, now that you're both the head coach.
Head coach?
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
What's been different about the fact that the buck stops here?
You defer.
I'm deferring.
It's nice. There's a comfort level knowing that the buck does stop, and I make the decision. And the decisions so far that I've made have been bringing our department into the 21st century. The technology that I've done in the last 8 months since I've been chief, it's comforting to know that those are my decisions, and I have a lot of support from the officers in making the decisions and putting people in positions to, whether it's a committee or a council that goes through and picks the best service or picks the best product. It's that's comforting. On the other hand, the buck does stop here, so my decision's final, and it rests on my shoulders. So it's obviously a great responsibility, but as long as you surround yourself with the right people, the decisions are easier.
Sometimes it gets a little lonely over there at the top, doesn't it?
Sometimes.
Of course, you guys haven't been in that position for 40 years, but what about you, Sean?
I think that what stands out is, you do have to lead. You have to lead a team, and you have to empower your people. You have to put your best player on the field at the right time to make the play, because it can't always be you. And it's just we're really forming a new team. We're really the capabilities are increasing, and we went from really a high school model to a district model. So you have to one of the things that I think is new to my position is that to encourage people to try things, and if you make a mistake, learn from it. And you know, and I don't just go back to football analogies because I'm on this stage with Coach. I really, and I'm saying that I do kind of live that way. That, you know, did you win the game? You know, did you win? And you know, there's things you can fix next week. That's important to me. You know, and that's what I encourage, you know, the teammates around me to do. You know, we want to win the game, and there's going to be things we have to improve and we have to fix, and we're going to continually look at that and play with that mindset. You know, we're new, we're getting guidance from multiple different directions, from the Township Police Department, from educators, from some consultants, and we want to better ourselves each week.
You said that you're now transferring from, what were the models you were talking about?
Well, the model here was primarily, there was security and safety at the high school.
High school.
And we went from having, you know, school police officers in this building to we have primarily a retired police officer in every building. So Dr. John Rozzo and the school board took a big step and exhibited leadership under some strain to say that this is a district model. Safety and security is going to be a district model in Upper St. Clair School District. And we, you know, took some of the things we were doing at the high school and put it out to all schools. And that's new, and it hasn't really been done the same way around here too much.
Chief, when you were playing for Jim, did you guys mimic him behind his back? I mean, you know, the render looks and the biting of the hand and all that. You guys?
I never did that.
No, you never did that?
No, they're always on a team. You get the
Sean, did you ever do that?
ones. There were some, but
No, we didn't. You know, I'll be honest with you. He can make you mad at him, and you know, and that was a good enough motivator, you know, for me.
Well, how did he make you? What do you mean? How did he make you mad that he motivated you?
I opened the wrong door. No, he you know,
Yeah, we're supposed to be interviewing them.
He gives a good, quick assessment of your playing at the moment, and if you don't like it, you have two options: prove them wrong or do something else. So I like to prove them wrong here and there, and we didn't mimic him. We said, that's it. Let's, you know, we went at it another way. And but it wasn't like that, and we knew he cared about us and all that. But we really, you know, he could to me, I could definitely speak to myself. He could say a couple words that I wanted to tackle him in the huddle, and we played harder because of that. Mm-hmm. We really did, and it wasn't anything. It was never a low blow. It wasn't. You just wanted to. You wanted to exceed his expectations, and that was something special. And it's just this, you know, I guess it's kind of half magic, half art, half a science. And you just wanted to, you know, during films, you wanted to kind of get him to move on to the next play, or, you know, make less comments. It was something we took pride in.
John?
You know, the one thing I look back on, and maybe it guided me to my motivation now, is I wasn't a strong player. I was on the team, and in fact, many people ask, "Oh, you played for Jim Render?" And I said, "Well, I was on the team because I didn't give 100%," and I think Coach knew that. He kept me involved. I felt part of the team, but looking back on it, and I joked at the beginning about how the classes after mine went to sections and titles and championships, and I look back on it that we had a great team. Still,
Which you were a good part of that team.
Correct,
Don't diminish your.
The issue that I'm making is that had I given more, would it have made everybody else on the team better? Because I gave more as a teammate, which you said about teammates. So that's what I reflect on back. I was on the team. I was a part of the team. I felt a part of the team. But I feel that if I would have given more, we have been a stronger team altogether. And I took that reflection and took my career and said, I'm giving 100% when I do the rest of it. Raising a family, being a husband, all that stuff is reflective of what when you're younger, you're young, you know, you don't know which life's going to throw to you. So,
Well, speaking of, I want to interject this while it crossed my mind. I've been here a long time, as you know, but the relationship between the township police and the police on duty in this high school wasn't always great. And I could, and your dad, by the way, he was a pillar of strength he smoothed a lot of problems, whether you knew that or not. But trust me, the relationship between.
Can I interject a quick story?
Absolutely.
So when Johnson School was one of our elementary schools, I remember this very vividly. Second grade, we gathered in the gym, and in walks Sergeant Don Bryson and then Officer Jim Engler. And I just remember Jim Engler was very tall, still is, but then to us, you're looking up to
sure.
him. And I just remember, I don't remember what they're talking about. I remember they were there talking probably safety and being good kids and all that. But I vividly remember that. And so, those are the things that, stick with you on regard to what you're talking about.
I remember in my early years, we used to park out here by the loading dock, or the faculty, some administrators. Anyhow, our principal, Dr. Hoffman, got a ticket by one of the city policemen. And, he wasn't happy, Trust me, the relationship between down the hill, as we say, and up here wasn't always great. So I think the fact that you two guys are in the chief leadership position, I know things are much better. So let me ask you, I'm going to switch subjects on you a little bit here. You both married Upper St. Clair girls.
That's right.
And John, why don't you start off and talk about your wife and your family a little bit.
So Lauren and I graduated together. We were friends in high school. We kind of went our separate ways in college. And when I got my job, she was seeing, she doesn't want to say dating, she was seeing one of the firefighters, and of course the camaraderie that goes on between the firefighters and police officers. We had gone to a couple places together, and we started rehashing the past and realized there was something more than just friends. And to make it a short answer, that was about it. Then we married. Three
adult children
yes,
later.
3 adult children later. I have 3 boys. The oldest just graduated from Eastern Kentucky University with a bachelor's in fire safety science. So he's looking to be a firefighter or in the fire program. And then my middle son is 20, just turned 21, and he just finished his junior year at IUP. And my youngest son is 19, and he finished his freshman year at IUP.
All right, your turn.
Yeah, so I married kind of the high school sweetheart, Kim Yeager, as she was known back then. She was a cheerleader. Somewhat similar paths. We went our own ways after college and into the workplace, and we casually knew where each other was, but we ran into each other in a grocery store in Arlington. She, after Lehigh, went to Philly for several years, then Bethesda, Maryland, then came around the Beltway, as we so to speak, and into Northern Virginia. And so we ran into each other. How you doing? Hey, let's go get dinner. And so it kind of started from that. It was. Did
you know she was in that area?
I did. I wasn't sure if she was in Virginia at that time. I knew that she was in the DC capital area and worked for Lockheed Martin that she started with right after college. And then it was shortly before 9/11, and we started dating from there and got married some years later, a little late, and had a girl. And we're a little bit on the older parent spectrum here, and so we have Becca.
Comparatively.
Not as old as you, Coach. No.
Thank you.
But so Becca's a second grader at Eisenhower, as I said. So but yeah, you know, she was a big part of coming here, and we sat down and factored some things out and said, you know, you do. To divert slightly, we were trying to replicate the Upper St. Clair town in another place, and you can get close, but you don't quite get there. And so we made the decision, and we're here.
When you ran into her in the grocery store, were you? I remember seeing you. I have to go back when you were doing some undercover work.
Right.
So you didn't look like what
No,
Sean. So
you
which
know.
look did you have?
I'd like to say I looked my best, which doesn't get me very far, but I did not look undercoverish, you know, and she did, you know, she stuck it out through those years and had 2 requests. She said, look, if you go to the motorcycle division or gangs, you may have to start dating again. And so I never did go to those units, and we kept on going down the road.
You did have some unique experience as an undercover person.
Yeah. You know, it was. They always say when you go undercover, you learn some of the narcotics trade, the lifestyle, they have a culture, and it's not a culture you want to emulate. And they always say that, you know, you learn more from informants and the people you hang around than you do from classwork and all that type of thing. And unfortunately, you know, I've seen that life a little bit, and it's, you know, and everyone says this, and I'd reiterate it, you know, the stuff about TV and all that, and how they portray some of this is almost 100% wrong 100% of the time. You know, it's just, there's a lot of sadness and struggle and addiction and really, you know, the people that would, you know, just turn on their own mothers and fathers. And it was, so it was an eye-opener, and it was rewarding, and I enjoyed it. And frankly, I was happy to leave it.
John, I wanted to say a little bit about the city police, township police. Do you remember what the colors were 40 years ago?
40 years ago, there was 40 years. So I know that the gray and black were the uniform with the patches, and then they went in 76. Chief Kelly came over from Ross Draver, and everything went green.
Everything was green.
Everything
That's
was
right.
green.
When I got here, it was green.
And in 86, Chief Bardini became the chief. And in 97, we switched to blue uniforms. And the blue,
All right, I got to stop you right there.
Go ahead.
I went down to a township commissioners meeting, you know, might have been after the 89 state. But anyhow, I goaded them a little bit about, because Bethel Park had orange stripes on their police cruisers and Peters Township had red. So I goaded them a little bit. I said, let's put a little red and black on those police cruisers. And they did. And I said something to Pardini one day, Chief, and he says, well, I don't like it. That should be blue. Police work is blue. So anyhow, you guys, if you're not happy, you can blame me. And the other thing I do want to say, you guys might remember this, when the Chapanis played, and their house was robbed on a Friday night. And I likened it to the fact that the Chapani boys, they were always in the newspaper, you know. So everybody knew where the Chapanis were on Friday night, which got me to thinking, you know, everybody knows where old Jim is on Friday night. So anyhow, I asked for a little help, and And the St. Clair Police have been cruising past my house on Friday nights for a lot of years, so I do appreciate that. And okay, Lanny, wrap it up. You're the best.
Well, I don't know about that, but guys, thanks very much for spending time with us today, and I hope that you both have a tremendous sense of accomplishment, the dedication that you guys have made to your community and the people that work with you have made to this community. You deserve a tremendous amount of credit, and congratulations for that. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks.
We've been with Sean Bryson, the chief of the security system in the Upper St. Clair School District, and chief of police from Upper St. Clair, John Wharton, on this edition of 15241 Today Talk. Thank you.